Hello everyone, Wisteria here and welcome back to AESOPS Fables. This fable is called The Rose and the Amaranth. A rose and an amaranth blossomed side by side in a beautiful garden, and the amaranth said to her neighbour, "How I envy you, your beauty and your sweet scent. No wonder you are such a universal favourite." But the rose replied, with a shade of sadness in her voice, "Oh, my dear friend, I bloom but for a time. My petals soon wither and fall, and then I die. But your flowers, they never fade, even if they are cut, for they are everlasting." The man, the horse, the ox, and the dog. Well, that's a mouthful. One winter's day, during a severe storm, a horse, an ox, and a dog came and begged for shelter in the house of a man. He readily admitted them, and as they were cold and wet, he lit a fire for their comfort, and he put oats before the horse, hay before the ox, while he fed the dog with the remains of his own dinner. When the storm abated and they were about to depart, they determined to show their gratitude in the following way. They divided the life of man among them. One each endowed one part of it with the qualities which were peculiar to his endowed own. I don't know what that means. The horse took youth, and hence young men are high-mettled and impatient of restraint. The ox took middle age, and accordingly men in middle life are steady and hard-working, while the dog took old age, which is the reason why old men are so often peevish and ill-tempered, and like dogs, attached chiefly to those who look to their comfort, while they are disposed to snap at those who are unfamiliar or distasteful to them. I understand the last of it, but that little bit there, I don't understand what that meant. The wolves, the sheep, and the ram. The wolves sent a deputation to the sheep with proposals for a lasting peace between them, on condition of their giving up the sheepdogs to instant death. The foolish sheep agreed to these terms, but an old ram whose years had brought him wisdom interfered and said, "How can we expect to live at peace with you? Why, even with the dogs at hand to protect us, we are never secure from your murderous attacks." The ram does speak the truth, though, let's be honest. It doesn't matter, does it, whether the dogs are there. The wolves are going to try and attack anyway. And if they got rid of the dogs, then there's nothing there to protect the sheep whatsoever. So it would be silly of the sheep to think, well, we'll just get rid of the dogs and have a peace treaty, because it wouldn't work. The swan. The swan is said to sing but once in its life, when it knows that it's about to die. A certain man who had heard of the song of the swan one day saw one of these birds for sale in the market, and bought it and took it home with him. A few days later, he had some friends to dinner and produced the swan, bade it to sing for their entertainment, but the swan remained silent. In course of time, when it was growing old, he became aware of its approaching end, and broke into a sweet, sad song. When its owner heard it, he said angrily, If you would have only sung when I asked you to sing, and not at the end, you are but a fool, the day I wanted to hear your song. I ought to have wrung the neck of you, instead of mercifully letting you live on to sing this one time. Gosh, that's a bit cruel. Poor swan. The snake and Jupiter. A snake suffered a good deal from being constantly trodden upon by man and beast, owing partly to the length of his body, and partly to being unable to raise himself above the surface of the ground. So he went to complain to Jupiter about the risks to which he was exposed. But Jupiter had little sympathy for him. "I dare say," said he, "that if you had bitten the first that trod on you, the others would have taken more trouble to look where they put their feet." True. The wolf and his shadow. A wolf was roaming about on the plain when the sun was getting low in the sky, was much impressed by the size of his shadow, and said to himself, "I had no idea I was so big. Fancy me being afraid of a lion. Why, I need not be at all. I am not afraid of no king of beasts, and I should heed of danger." He strutted about as if there could be no doubt at all. Just then a lion sprang upon the wolf and began to start devouring him. "Alas, alas!" he cried. "Had I not lost sight of the facts, I shouldn't have been ruined by my fancies." You see, told you, the older these fables become, the stranger they become as well. The ploughman and the wolf. A ploughman loosened his oxen from the plough and led them away to water to drink. While he was absent, a half-starved wolf appeared just on the scene and went up to the plough and began chewing at the leather straps attached to the yoke. As he gnawed away desperately in the hope of satisfying this craving for food, he somehow got entangled in the harness and, taking fright, struggled to get free, tugging at it and tugging at it, trying to get the harness off, and traces as if he would drag the plough along with him. Just then, the ploughman came back, and seeing what was happening, he cried, Ah, you old rascal! I wish you would give up thieving for good, and take to honest work instead." Told you they get more bizarre. Some of the words are very old, and I'll be honest, they're that old even I don't know the meaning of them, and that means they're pretty old. You know. Mercury and the man bitten by an ant. A man once saw a ship go down with all its crew, and commented severely on the injustice of the gods. "They care nothing, absolutely nothing, for a man's character," said he, "but let the good and the bad go to their deaths together." There was an ant heap close by where he was standing, and, just as he spake, he was bitten in the foot by an ant. Turning in a temper to the ant, he stamped upon the whole heap and crushed hundreds of unoffending ants. Suddenly Mercury appeared, and belaboured him with the staff, saying as he did so, you villain, where's your nice sense of justice now?" I've no idea what that's about. Oh my gosh. The wily lion. A lion watched a fat bull feeding in a meadow, and his mouth watered when he thought of the royal feast he would take. But he did not actually dare to attack him, for he was afraid of his sharp horns. Hunger, however, presently compelled him to do something, and so what he did, he used force, not promise of success, but he wanted to compel, determined to resort to artifice. Going up to the bull in a friendly fashion, he said to him, I cannot help saying how much I admire your magnificent figure. What a fine head, what powerful shoulders and thighs. But my dear friend, what in the world makes you wear those ugly horns? You must find them awkward. They are so unsightly. Believe me, you must do better without them. The bull was foolish enough to be persuaded by this flattery to have his horns cut off, and having now lost his only means of defence, fell prey to the lion very easily. Oh dear. Yep, that would happen, wouldn't it? The parrot and the cat. A man once bought a parrot and gave it the run of the house. It revelled in its liberty and presently flew up onto the mantelpiece and screamed away to its heart's content. The noise disturbed the cat, who was asleep on the hearth rug. Looking up at the intruder, she said, "Who may you be? And just where have you come from?" The parrot replied, "Your master has just bought me and brought me home with him." "You impudent bird," said the cat, "how dare you, a newcomer, make noise like that? Why, I was born here and lived here all my life. And yet, if I venture to mew, they throw things at me and chase me all over the place." "Look here, mistress," said the parrot, "you just hold your tongue. My voice they delight in, but yours, well, yours is just a perfect nuisance." Poor cat. Can't sing, that's a problem. Thank you for listening to this episode of AESOPS Fables. And as I say, they are getting older. They are definitely getting rather strange. Some of the words I don't even understand or get why they are put together, but it's interesting to see how different they become through time. Many blessings.